Hello, I'm Kimberly and welcome to the weekend edition of the Native News Update. It's Friday, May 1st, and many of the stories you hear here can be found at IndianCountryNews.com. And here's the news for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. South Dakota's Shannon County will now be known as Oglala Lakota County, removing the name of the man who Oglala activists say helped in negotiations that were a precursor for the breakup of tribal lands. Officials in South Dakota and other states have for years moved to do away with overly offensive names for geographic places and monuments. But South Dakota's recent moves extend to names that might not be obvious except to Native American communities and others who know the history behind them. The South Dakota Board on Geographic Names is also hearing a request to provide a new designation for Harney Peak, the highest point in the U.S. east of the Rocky Mountains. It was named for Army General William Harney, whose men massacred Native American women and children during a battle in September of 1855. One suggested name is Black Elk Peak, but many others have been proposed. The board is taking public input and could issue a recommendation for a new name to the U.S. Board on Geographic Names. According to Law360.com, there are 5 environmental cases Native American law attorneys will be following in 2015. The first is the Penobscot Nation's water rights in Maine. The dispute involves a couple of cases and stems from the Penobscot Nation's effort to improve the health of the water and wildlife in the Penobscot River. The second is the Blythe Solar Power Project dispute. The Colorado River tribes have told a California federal judge that the project shouldn't be allowed on tribes' ancestral lands, and that the construction should be postponed until the lawsuit protesting the project is decided. The third is the Agua Caliente Band's water rights. The band sued 2 California water agencies in May 2013 over groundwater development in the Coachella Valley. The fourth is the Wind River Tribe's treatment as state designation. Wyoming and other states have asked the 10th Circuit to review the EPA's 2013 ruling that a 1905 congressional act didn't diminish the boundaries of the Wind River Reservation. And the fifth is the Navajo Generating Station Haze dispute. In these consolidated cases, Navajo and Hopi tribal members and other environmentalists have asked the 9th Circuit to review the EPA's plan to cut emissions at an Arizona coal-fired power plant. 16 reservists from the 419th Civil Engineer Squadron joined airmen from the 459th Civil Engineer Squadron from Andrews Air Force Base, Maryland, to support the Southwest Indian Foundation in the construction of modular homes in Gallup, New Mexico, April 5th through the 18th. The homes are built to provide shelter for homeless Native American families in the Four Corners area. The foundation has worked with the Air Force and other government agencies in providing homes since 1998. The 419th team, including structural experts, plumbers, and electricians, took the lead on the project, laying the groundwork for the next 5 months of rotations, where other reserve units will complete the homes before they are delivered. Most anniversary commemorations of the Confederacy's surrender 150 years ago on April 1865 overlooked a meaningful exchange at the Little Courthouse in Appomattox, Virginia. After Robert E. Lee formally surrendered to Ulysses S. Grant, Grant introduced Lee to his staff, including Grant's military secretary, Ely Parker, a Seneca. Hasawanda, later known as Ely Samuel Parker, was born in 1828 on the Tawanda Reservation in western New York. Mocked as a young boy while working at an army post for speaking Pidgin English, he ultimately became renowned for his eloquence in the language. With penmanship so impressive, he won the privilege of drafting the surrender documents, ending the Civil War. In 1869, President Grant then made Parker the first Native American Commissioner of Indian Affairs. Parker's fair, honest approach toward the Indian tribes alienated his Washington rivals. Undeterred, Parker tried balancing his loyalty to his tribe and his loyalty to his country. When Parker rushed aid to starving Indians out west without publicizing bids properly, his enemies filed 13 charges of misconduct against him. The resulting congressional hearing exonerated him and praised his leadership. 95 years after production, a long-lost silent film, The Daughter of Dawn, first screened in Los Angeles in 1920, featuring 300 Comanche and Kiowa, finally premieres. The copy, discovered more than a decade ago, has been restored and was screened in Texas recently, ahead of its commercial release later this year. The delicate restoration work took years, and an orchestral score was completed in 2012. A year later, the Library of Congress added the movie to its National Film Registry, describing the work as a fascinating example of the daringly unexpected topics and scope showcased by the best regional independent filmmaking during the silent era. The film is expected to be released on DVD and Blu-ray and made available through online outlets. And that's another roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the NABE News Update. I'd like to thank you for joining me, and have a grand day.